So another problem with John Deere 5510 that I just noticed. I got some hydraulic fluid leaking from the back. Not too bad, but I'm afraid that this cab will have to go off again. I had to take this cab off on my previous videos to replace the clutch housing where it cracked right in the middle. I had to separate this and replace it. That was my one of the previous videos. This cab might have to come off once more to replace the gaskets. I'll show you what the problem is. So, yep, I just noticed a leak. So we'll give you a little tour what's going on here. All right. Yep. So right here, this is the transmission, right? And this is the rear differential type of housing. Right in between is a gasket. It's leaking. It's like leaking right down here. You can tell it's coming, seeping. Not too bad, but it's like coming from there. And so yeah, this is failed. I have to separate this from that. So take the back off. I might not take the cab off. You know, I might not need to take the cab off. We'll see. And then also this failed. This gasket failed. This is on the drive axle, on the rear drive axle. Gasket around there, around failed. So it's leaking like right down here. Not bad, but it's leaking right here. So all this back at the bottom of this rear axle, base, whatever it's called, it was all oily after 3 hours mowing. So I lost probably, I don't know, 3 ounces of transmission fluid. So there's a project for the fall. It's not gonna be easy. We'll see. I might just have to, while I replace this one and this, I might have to replace that too. Anyways, love it. Like I have nothing else to do, right? John Deere, what's going on? John Deere tractor. I bought this tractor not to work on it, but to use it around my farm. But one problem after another. Anyways, but it's a solid tractor. It's all good. I'll keep you posted on the video. I continue working on it. I'll probably start in the fall. Right now it's June. Sometimes maybe in the late September, October, I'll start after the last harvesting of hay. Anyways, not fun, but has to be done. Bye for now. It's a beautiful day to do another project on this tractor. It's a 5510, and second time the cab is off the tractor. I removed the cab off this tractor maybe 4 years ago. If you want to see that video, take a look. I go step by step how I did it on removal of this cab, and it worked good for about 4 years, and now I experienced some clutch slippage, and then there's a leak on the side of the transmission case, which I'm gonna show you in a second. The gasket is shot. I gotta replace it. So again, use the scaffolding to remove the cab. It was pretty easy this time. It's much easier to do this job. Not afraid of this project, because I done it before. I split this tractor in half before. I replaced the clutch housing in my previous video on this tractor.
So that's the clutch housing. That's a different part because it cracked previously. So in this case, I had to take the cab off to replace a gasket. I see a gasket around the transmission. While I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna replace work on a clutch to get that fixed up so I don't experience any slippage. So pretty much everything has to come off. But anyway, so between the transmission and the rear differential, there is a gasket that fits right in there. So all that needs to split, and there's a gasket that needs to be replaced. And I'll show you on the other side where it's leaking. And it wasn't leaking bad, but you know, as years go by, it's more and more and more. So I'm like, might as well fix it. So there's your separation right there, and it was leaking right off the side. It's like bubbling out, bubbling out, bubbling out, bubbling, just coming down and leaking on the bottom. So yeah, so there's like 17 bolts that need to be taken off. I believe it's 17 bolts. I can't exactly sure how many. I haven't counted really. Anyways, so I'm gonna split the rear differential and transmission. I'm gonna split this up, put new gasket in here, and then I'm gonna get that all together, and then I'm gonna take split this up here. Also, some of this stuff has to come off in order to remove the clutch, but I'm hoping not to remove the steering wheel, steering console, and keep that intact because it's attached to the clutch housing. It's actually secured to the clutch house. It's pretty loose. I can actually remove it. Hopefully I don't have to remove the floor, even though it's pretty loose. But yeah, that's an issue right there, that I was postponing it till like this year. I have to do it because I'm gonna lose a lot of transmission hydraulic fluid, and I don't like that. So that stuff's not cheap these days. So anyways, so that's a big project here. Again, you know, second time doing it. It's not as hard. Same crane system. I used extension ladder and a metal pipe, because I used up the wooden beams that I used previously on something. Anyways, this works. Eye bolts on the top of the roof, and I kept the wheels on because I think I'm gonna need to roll it back or whatever after I disconnect that. So I kept the wheels on. These wheels are filled with antifreeze, and they're like, I don't know, maybe probably 2,000 pounds. I don't know, they're crazy heavy. If I don't have to mess with them, I don't have to mess with them. Unfortunate thing, I have to redo the air conditioning again, fill it up, and you know, redo that air conditioner. That's the worst thing about this, is the air conditioner. Yeah, so okay, so I got the bolts taken off, the ones that were outside exposed. There were 7 of them, but there is 17 of them. At least that's what the catalog says. Anyways, so there are some hidden bolts inside here. There's one there, and the other side there's at least 4 of them, maybe more, inside there. So we had to remove this cap. Might as well order a gasket for this too. So yeah, so some of these bolts are not exposed. Be mindful of that. Yeah, just remove all the top bolts, disconnect all the links through here, and just lift that up, and it should go, no problems. Nothing's catching it, but I don't know if I can. So there is that gasket that's failing me right there. It's kind of hard to see right there, that orange. That's the gasket that failed. Anyways, these are the shifters in here, everything here. So yeah, it's kind of hard to see. It's dark. I'm trying to use a light, but it's not really helping. But anyways, so I got a jack underneath this one, and then I got crane hooking up to here, kind of pulling back. So as soon as I get these 4 bolts done, that should be good. Now it says 17 bolts, so I gotta look for other ones. So I make sure I'll get all the bolts out before I pull this thing apart. So interesting that this bolt was sitting right there, and it was not even screwed in. I used my hands to take it off. It was actually had a gap between the washer and that. So this one was not even tight. So that's where it was leaking. That bolt is exactly where it's leaking. It was leaking on this side right here. That bolt wasn't tight, or it came loose. I mean, I used my hands to undo it. And that would probably what was the cause of it. But anyway, that's the dumbest thing, but whatever. And then, so these longer bolts go on the side here. And then these shorter ones, yeah, these guys, shorter ones go here. So here we go. I got a little crack line here already moving, but for some reason I still can't get it split up here. So I'm gonna take this off. I need to take this off anyways because I need to change the gasket on this too. Might as well do it before it's gonna start leaking here somewhere and nonsense like this. So I had to disconnect the arms here, extensions, and then this guy from that bolt, there's a key weight right down underneath, don't lose that, but that goes on top of this with the lock nut. And then I need to disconnect some of this stuff because I can't get to this bolt. And so you got your washer, then clamp over there, disconnect this stuff, and hopefully I'll be able to lift it. And then I'm gonna see what's up. Maybe there's something holding on the shaft, maybe something's holding on the other side, because this 1/8 of an inch gap, that's all it going. Can't go further than that. So yeah, you gotta disconnect that. There's a 10-inch nut right here, 10mm nut right here. In order to take this top off, there's a couple bolts that are hidden. That side around there should be pretty simple to get to. Even through here was pretty simple to get to. But there is 2 bolts right there, and then one underneath this valve control, hydraulic control valve. There's one right underneath of it, and then one on the side that need to come out, which it's impossible without getting this thing off. So there's 4 bolts on each side. This will require more gaskets and more O-rings to be replaced, but might as well get it done, right? So in order to get to that bolt on the bottom there, I had to take these bolts on the side here, right here, but I can't get that one, okay, because of this, all these pipe fittings. So that means I need to take this thing off. So there's these bolts on the side here, okay. The longer ones go on top, the shorter ones go on the bottom bolts. Take these off, take that off, and then you're gonna have to get this thing off. More than I bargained for. Okay, I got the top off of the rear case, rear axle case, and it's hanging right here on the crane. But this is what it looks like. It's pretty neat. If you're curious, there's your PTO shaft and gear, and then the top, it transfers the top over. There is your rear axle differential, whatever we call it. There's your there's a pin gear, I think, whatever they call that, right there. It's connected to here. Anyhow, so I believe I need to take all those bolts out in order for the pin gear to get out and the bearing to get out, and that thing should split up. That's 99% the case. Also be careful when you're pulling the stop off with this stud here and the stud here. Make sure it comes off evenly. Don't angle it one way or the other, otherwise you'll crack the top lid for this crankcase. And then yeah, so far so good. I looked at all the gears, they are really good. Okay, I got it split up. So how I did it is this. There is a bearing right here. There it's a holder, bearing holder right here. It was bolted right there with 6 bolts. You had to unscrew it from the transmission side. All these, the other side is really hard because you had these pieces. I pulled this one back. This rod, I pulled it back. It was right through here and goes into here, but I pulled it back. I unscrewed it here, pulled that back, so I can have some room for the ratchet because it's just so tight in there. Anyways, I struggled with the last one on the bottom over there. I got it done though. So there's a bearing here, a little washer thing. Okay, so that's all gotta be intact. So this is what it looks like. Okay, and just kind of, I pulled it from the back. As you can see, I pulled it that way. This is stationary, this front, and it was great because yeah, that's where the bearing sits, right there. And it wasn't bad. It wasn't real tight. This holder wasn't real tight in there, which is very nice. I thought I'm gonna have to tap it and do all kinds of things to it. There's the crank, whatever this rocker lid or whatever, rocker controls, whatever, hanging from the top, sits over there. Anyway, so yeah, split up. Now I'd be able to fit the gasket through here and get that assembled. So you didn't have to take any of this stuff off, even though I wanted to already. Got some bolts off. Take this off because I was hoping to remove this so I can get to those bolts easier. It's impossible to remove this. There's other things that's holding it intact, so just don't mess with it. Yeah, you don't have to take the transmission off from the clutch housing either to pull those gears out. You don't have to do that. This comes out pretty good. So this is the way to do it. This is the way I will do it. Yeah, so unless you want to mess with the transmission, and then take all these gears out from the other side, and then there's actually a big nut on the back of this shaft, pin shaft, where you can loosen it and pull all these guts out, and then but yeah, I would not recommend any of that nonsense. Anyways, this is the way to do it. Everything looks good in there. Yeah. So these shavings that I saw, maybe you can see them right there. Some of the metal shavings, I did clean that up, that strainer. Anyways, I talked to the dealer guy. He says there is brakes on each side that has metal shavings in the brake system, and so when it breaks, it over time gets these shavings, and it's normal to have some shavings on the bottom of that. So I did clean it. Anyways, I'm gonna start putting it together down here, and then I'm gonna take the clutch off, which is on this side, because that's slipping on me. Anyways, I'm happy that it split up pretty nicely. I don't have to, I don't know. It was tough, but I got it done. New gasket right there. Use this plastic to clean the old gasket off. And that's what it looks like. It looks different than what I need, but maybe it's fine. That looks different. Oh, it's fine. It's you can tell the old gasket was not really rounded either, so I still need to clean this side. The old gasket's still under. But anyways, okay, so that works. I was hoping for a nice round piece here, but okay, well, this is it, I guess. So I got the rear case and the transmission case bolted together. Few things I want to point out. So the torque on those bolts looks like transmission to differential case cap screws 105. So at least 105 torque on that anyway. So what I did, I put a ratchet from there to here and on both sides, and ratchet that together and brought the rear axle closer to transmission slowly. That's one trick, to put them all together like that. And then the other trick is, so I couldn't get to the bolts way on the bottom for the bearing housing or bracket from the top. So you get it from the bottom is better, and I'll show you that in a second. So took this off, which sits on the bottom of the transmission. This is for the front wheel drive. Okay, took that off. There's an O-ring right there, but by taking this off, I was able to get to the bottom bolts underneath. It's kind of hard to see, but let's see if I can get the light in there. See, there's a hole, and you can get your wrench with a little angle thing on it, and you can easily get to the bottom bolts and to the top, or not the top, but the middle ones. You can get to them pretty easy. So that's another trick. Also, you have to put a 2x4 in the front. Let's see if I can shoot that video. It's kind of working at night. Let's see. Right there. You have to put blocking on that before you take the transmission apart on both sides, so it would not pivot on you, the engine. It would pivot on you, and yeah, you might have an issue. So make sure you have blocking on both sides before you undo the transmission from the rear case. For the top here, let's see, like that's better. For the top here, John Deere doesn't have a gasket, so there's gonna be just gasket out of the tube type of stuff. I'll show you later what that looks like. I'm gonna apply that here. There is a gasket for this one. I have it. I just need to just take this old one out. Oh, one more thing before I forget. So it's hard to see now, but let's see. Maybe like this. Yeah. So those 6 bolts. So what I did is I took those 6 bolts out. I took the transmission apart from the rear case, and then I was just playing with it, you know, twisting that little bracket for the bearing. Well, the hole pattern is off. Okay, so if you don't put it in the right spot, the hole pattern will not match up. So make sure you twist it back the way it was. I think the top left and right bolt is narrower than the bottom, so that's something to watch for. Don't just play with that, and then you will not be able to screw those bolts in. Anyways, all right. Here we go. Got the gasket on there. I cleaned the bottom really nicely, so make sure you get that nice cleaned up. Got the gasket. I got these bolts on. I believe I put some thread lock on these 2 bolts. Seems like you had it before, so I put some thread lock on these because I had to remove these 2. And yeah, clean everything up, and the lid is about to be back on. Yeah, the gasket costed about 13 bucks. Not a big deal. This is what the lid looks like from the inside. There's that levers right here that switch gears, or yeah, so this is the gear switch, and this one is the speed, I believe. 1, 2, 3. So the left side is the speed, and then this is the gear switch. So clean the gasket, leftovers on this side. Nothing to see here, but in case you're curious. So there we go. There we go. This side is assembled. This bracket goes like this. That bracket goes back because I had to unbolt this. There's a bolt this here. Don't forget that. These, because this all had to come off. I ordered a new O-ring on the bottom of this little guy. Place new O-rings. Might as well do it now. And then I got a new O-ring for this as well, because this one was worn out actually. So yeah, got the old bolts tightened. I haven't got this yet because I'm still working on the front. Let me show you what that the other side looks like, because it's got a critical. Let's see. So I had to remove all these arms, control arms, or whatever you call these rods. Okay, from there. So the top one goes on this top rod goes here. This little clamp ring had to come off to be removed, and then there's a lock nut here that had to come off. There's a keyways on about 2 keyways on the bottom of this shaft of this bolt here that it goes on. And on this side, that's how top rod attaches here. There's a little bushing there, and then this guy is here. So there's a washer, and then that nut. So that's that. And then I need to attach the front wheel drive, this is the lever for it, which just connects on the bottom. Well, anyways, It's coming together pretty good. Okay, I got a split at the clutch location. So I'm gonna rebuild this. This is the clutch, and there's two discs, one for PTO, one for driving. I'm gonna see if the discs are still available, but I cannot get the entire clutch for sale, but from dealer John Deere, but maybe they can rebuild it. I'm gonna take this off, unbolt these bolts around the perimeter, take it off. Here's what that looks like. You got drive shaft and PTO shaft, one in the other. Okay, and then so you have to unbolt all this hydraulic piping. This goes to the steering. To get that, is your piping split up. Your odometer. No, this is a gas acceleration cable to the fuel pump that you need to undo. There is the bolt hole where you put a bolt in to lift, and then I have a jack underneath of that. Again, using a crane, very nice. And then so that's the deal. And then this air right here tube needs to come off from right there somewhere. You need to undo that. Yeah, so it's pretty. Splitting at the clutch is actually much easier than the second time around, of course. But so this is on this side. So yeah, this air tube comes through here. This is a little tough to undo. But yeah, all this electrical needs to be undone. There's another pipe that comes this way, needs to be undone. There's some electrical we don't need. It's fell off from here because this is how there's a little pocket here for chain to come through and attach. So this works very nice. Your flywheel right down there, and then your starter, and then yeah. So I'm gonna take this off and take it to John Deere to let them look at it, test it. It does slip, so yeah, probably just gonna replace discs and be on my way. This side is pretty much done. I just gotta put the cap on, and then yeah, this is what the clutch looks like. This is what pushes certain things. When you're pushing a pedal, there's the bushing that pushes all these pedals, and then it engages. But anyway, this is the back side towards the engine. It's kind of hard to see, shade, too much sun, but you get the idea. Not much going on here. All right, I'll show you what's going on over here real quickly. This is the engine side. All right, the engine side. Pretty simple. Actually, it's brilliant engineering. This is the clutch housing side. So that what pushes. Depends what if it's a drive or PTO. This is different bushing bearing type of thing. Pushes on the clutch and it engages and goes. Anyways, I'm done what I can do today. I'm gonna take that to the dealer, have them look at it, rebuild it for me. There we go, that's a new clutch. This is the back side. No, this is the engine side. This is the transmission side, or the back side. What does this say? What does that say? Oh, this is the part number. There's a serial number 19505 USA. Where is this? Okay. Alright, sounds good. Brand new. This tractor's gonna have a brand new clutch. So hopefully will last my lifetime. The clutch housing is mounted on there. I haven't torqued the bolts yet. I will. They're 27 foot-pounds torque, and I would go minimum 27, maybe more. So there's a tag here. It says to remove some of these yellow shipping block pieces. That's these little pieces you got to remove. Where are they at? Right here is one. There's 3 of them. Got to be removed. Okay, there's another one here. Yeah, so torque these 27 foot-pounds minimum and go to town. This baby will come back together. So I want to give you a word of caution. So one of my fingers were not leveled. You have to have 3 of these leveled and 3 of these taller. They're the PTO. So one of these fingers were actually stuck in opposition like this. See that? That is not right. Okay, so that's not gonna work. You're not gonna be able to close it. You're not gonna be able to make it work. So and it won't go back because it's stuck right in here, right in there. It's stuck. So all you have to do is push it on there with your finger or whatnot, and you can see it went back to a proper position. So it's kind of critical right here. So you have them all leveled. Make sure they're all leveled. This is for your traction, for driving. This is for your, the top one's for your PTO. All right, it's all good. This is how this needs to go. So you put this in first, inside here, make sure it's nice and good. And then now, ready to be closed. I got the cap back on there using my homemade crane system. So got that all put together in here. The bolts, this cap needs to go back. Anyways, you can watch my other video how I assembled the cab and the consoles and floor and the battery box, and on my previous video on this John Deere 5510 tractor. You gotta bleed the brakes on each side. So that's my job today, is just put everything back together and hopefully get this thing started. So far, no issues. So there she is. There she is. Yeah, the bleeding. You bleed from right underneath there. Actually, you'll see it on my other video. On each side, you gotta bleed the brakes. Yep. Hook up your fuel lines. Hook up your antifreeze lines. And go from there. I got to put glass back in on each side, and this is the air conditioning lines. Got to hook those up yet, so there's some more work, but the biggest part is done. Okay, well, I hope you enjoy this video. Hope this video is helpful. And as things progress, I'll be continuing recording things and making videos on this tractor. Later. Okay, the tractor's put together. The cab is on, the hood is on. Primed it, started it, drives, hydraulics working, bleeded the brakes on the back. If you how I see the details and everything, how it's all put together, watch my other video. But I got enough fuel in there, and then yeah, I'm ready to put this the loader on. So I'm not used to the new clutch. And my old clutch, you had to release it fully to actually go. With this clutch, first time taking off, driving it from over there, and I let it go. Man, it jerked like it's gonna, man, it has power. So the new clutch is definitely improvement. I didn't realize how much improvement it's gonna make, but it's a lot. It's definitely nice and whatever you call it. It grabs on really nicely. Looked at underneath, no leaks. I'm glad for that. No leaks. The gasket and everything's good. If you don't know where the primer is at to prime for fuels, on top of this guy. There's a valve actually for this fuel line on the top. Make sure that's on. Some of these lines I have to make sure they're not really tight. I'll strap them, get some wire ties, and then put this is for the loader. Make sure this is really nice and tight on both ends, otherwise your hydraulic is gonna, a system will, pump will pull air in, and it'd be jerky. Otherwise right now it's really nice. I added some gear oil inside that axle. It was low. It has 888 hours right now on it, and pretty much everything, been all the fuel and oil, hydraulic oil, antifreeze, and motor oil has been redone. The fuel hydraulic filter is done. That's new. So there we go. So now I'm gonna attach this piece here, right down here, this loader, and then the one more thing you need to do is AC. Charge the AC on this tractor because it was all taken apart. Okay, thanks for watching.